Hello students, welcome to another lesson presented by the Learning Depot. I'm Lulu. Today we're going to address one of the most difficult parts of English grammar, and that is the phrasal verb. Phrasal verbs are idiomatic 2- and 3-part verbs commonly used in the English language. Linguists observe that the use of phrasal verbs in everyday speech is so prevalent that there are over 5,000 phrasal verbs, with more being added to the English language as we speak. Because phrasal verbs are idiomatic and figurative, understanding their grammatical structure and, most importantly, how to use them in speech and writing is tricky and confusing. So it's no wonder that they present difficulty to many non-native speakers. So today I'm not going to give you a long list of phrasal verbs for you to memorize. This is part 1 of 3 lessons on phrasal verbs. Today we'll start with the syntactic structure of phrasal verbs, and we'll look at the differences between phrasal verbs, phrasal prepositional verbs, and prepositional verbs. The lesson starts now. Phrasal verbs are multi-word verbs composed of 2 or 3 words. A single idiomatic unit whose meaning can't be understood from its parts. They function as one syntactic and semantic unit, but we can separate its components into a main verb and another word called a particle. Phrasal verbs are often referred to as 2-word verbs, compound verbs, discontinuous verbs, verb-particle combination, verb-particle compound, verb-adverb combination, verb-particle construction, or verb phrase. Sometimes a type of phrasal verb will have 3 parts: the verb, the particle, and a preposition, and these are called phrasal prepositional verbs. We'll also look at these as we go on with the lesson. Let's look at the syntactic features of phrasal verbs. A phrasal verb is made up of a verb and another component called a particle. Traditional grammarians describe this particle as an adverb, a preposition, or a word that can act as either an adverb or a preposition. It's important to note that some linguists and grammarians only call it a particle when it is an adverb and make the distinction from the preposition. A particle carries out the function of forming a new verb, since it may add a new meaning, extend the meaning of the main verb by suggesting continuity or completion, and help to form collocations. These are words that usually or always go together. The particle may be an adverb, a preposition, or a combination of both. Phrasal verbs are lexical verbs. This means that the verb proper in phrasal verbs shares the same properties of a full or main verb. Just like lexical verbs, phrasal verbs can be conjugated to show person, number, tense, aspect, mood. They can be used with modals or other auxiliaries. They can be found in both the active and passive voice. They can also be transitive or intransitive. And for today's lesson, this is probably one of the most important properties that we will look at, the transitivity or intransitivity of phrasal verbs. Transitive phrasal verbs, like any transitive full verb or lexical verb, will take a direct object, but we can divide a transitive phrasal verb into separable or inseparable phrasal verbs. This means that we can rearrange them by placing the direct object, a noun or a pronoun, before the particle. Let's look at some examples. I ran into Howard last night. Here we have a transitive phrasal verb. Ran into who? Ran into Howard. Howard is the direct object. Now, let's place Howard before the particle, before into. I ran Howard into last night. Does this sound okay? This does not sound natural. It sounds illogical. This is because into is a preposition. So when the particle is a preposition, the phrasal verb is inseparable. You cannot separate it. John came across an interesting article. Not, John came an interesting article across. This is because across is functioning as a preposition. But transitive phrasal verbs can also be classified as separable, like in this example. The team will run out the clock. The clock is a direct object, meaning run out is a transitive verb. The team will run the clock out. Out in this example is an adverb. My friend called off her wedding. Her wedding is the direct object. Called off is a transitive verb. Off is an adverb. She called her wedding off. She called it off. There are also intransitive phrasal verbs. These are phrasal verbs that do not take a direct object and are therefore inseparable. Don't forget to get up early. Get up, there is no direct object. Up is an adverb. Please don't give up. Up is an adverb. Some phrasal verbs may be both transitive and intransitive, depending on the context expressed. So for example, turn in. I'll turn in early tonight. Or, you must turn in your homework on time. In the first example, I'll turn in early, you have an example of an intransitive phrasal verb. In the second one, you must turn in your homework on time, you have a transitive phrasal verb. Let's go on to look at phrasal prepositional verbs. Phrasal prepositional verbs are three-word phrasal verbs. They are made up of the verb and two other words, usually a particle, which is an adverb, and a preposition. They are followed by a noun and usually have a single verb equivalent or synonym. Some of these phrasal prepositional verbs are separable and some are inseparable. Remember that the key is that these verbs are usually replaced by a single verb synonym. So for example, puts up with means tolerates. Face up to means confront. Do away with, eliminate. Catch up with, communicate. These verbs are all examples of inseparable phrasal prepositional verbs. These inseparable phrasal prepositional verbs have no direct object. However, you could argue that the object of the preposition is the semantic direct object of the phrasal prepositional verb, since this type of verb is acting as one semantic and syntactic unit. But let's look at some examples of separable phrasal prepositional verbs. Let in on means to confide, but you usually say, I'll let you in on a little secret or on something. Take out on, express misplaced anger. If you say, don't take it out on me. Don't take your anger out on something else. Fix up with can mean to arrange or furnish or even to matchmake. So if I say, I have a friend and I think you would like her, I will fix you up with her. That means I am trying to make a love connection. Fix you up with. This type of phrasal prepositional verb takes a direct object after the verb proper, as well as the object of the preposition. And the last category of multi-word verb is the prepositional verb. Now, it's important to note that linguists make the distinction and classify this verb separate from the phrasal verbs, although some will not. What's important to note about the prepositional verb is that the preposition contributes little or no semantic information. This is different from traditional phrasal verbs, because remember that in the phrasal verb, the particle is used to change the meaning or extend the meaning. However, in a prepositional verb, the preposition really does not alter the meaning of the verb. The meaning of a prepositional verb is usually the same as the main verb. So, for example, look for, the meaning is look. Interested in, the meaning is interested. Agree on, the meaning is agree. Believe in, the meaning is believe. Remember to go back and review the parts of the video that you did not understand, and if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below and I'll be sure to answer them. Remember that there will be 2 more videos on phrasal verbs because this is not an easy subject, and I want to make sure that you understand the syntactic structure before we go on to other subjects. As always, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button so that you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. And please like and share this video as it will help out my small channel. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you real soon. Bye!